Hi, this is Kim Pinkney, and welcome to my channel. I'm just working out the sound here to see if you guys can hear what I'm hearing. I'm trying something a little different. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that I can put my headphones in and hear the music at the same time you guys are. I'm putting the music through my iPad as I'm streaming, but trying to get to my web page here. Give me a second. There we go. It's like I can't tell. Let's see. Play, damn you. It's playing something. Let me turn this up a bit. Okay, I can hear it in my headset. But since I'm playing it and doing it, I can't tell if it's coming through my site here. Double. Let's see. Well, it says it's playing audio. Okay, so hopefully you guys can hear. If you guys can't hear, let me know. Okay, I'm going to test it one more time and see if I can still hear it. Yeah, music sounds pretty loud. I think we're doing okay. Okay, so hopefully this is working. I hope you guys can hear, and can hear me just fine. I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, welcome to my channel. This is me working on my chapter 3 of Nocturnal Emissions. I might actually make it, I don't know, but we're going to do our damnedest to make it happen. I'm going to turn the music down just a smidge. Let's see, it's under epidemic sound here. So if I turn this down, maybe I might hear myself a little better. Okay. All right. And if I okay, so you guys just let me know if you can't hear. All right, let's see. Okay, so if you guys are interested, you can catch my webcomic on. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I didn't mean to do that either. Let's see. Come on, you. Be nice. There we go. Let's see if I can find it. On Webtoons. And it's Nocturnal Emissions. I got chapter 2 up. So, ooh, I got 12 likes. Yay! Yay! Gotta keep going. Alright. And let's see. This will let me know how many views I've gotten thus far. I know I got 12. Yay! I got 50 last month. 12 this month. Yay! 12 yesterday. So I got 12 yesterday as soon as I uploaded it. Sweet! Okay, must keep going. Must keep going. Okay, so let's close that out. Alright. So here we are. Nocturnal Emissions. We're on to chapter 3. We're still at the bar, and we're going to try to pull ourselves out of the bar. His friend is asking, is he in trouble? And Bryce is responding with his answer. It's like, damn, there really is no rest for the wicked. And here is where Bryce will be talking, and it's kind of like, what is it called? Not babbling, but he's pretty much kind of doing an exposition, kind of, sort of. But in the meantime, a girl has just bought him a drink, and he's about to move in for the kill while Bryce is talking. And then from there, Bryce is going to realize that he's alone and that his friend answered his question for him, basically. So he's coming back in this panel here with his cell phone and new phone number, and she's putting in his number. And then his friend is like, dude, we gotta go. And then right before he goes, there's another chick that just noticed him. And I should have one more panel in between just to show what kind of horn dog this guy is. So he's coming back, he's sitting down, so I need a picture of him sitting down. I'm going to copy this one here. Sorry about that. Select this one. I'm going to duplicate this one because I am not about to lose squat. Okay, so he comes back. I want him to, oops. Epidemic sound. Okay, you get, let me change the song here. I'm on the random staff picks, but I did like this one right here as I was trying to figure out the sound and everything. Okay, let me see if I can get that one to play. I don't want it to be too laid back to where we all fall asleep. Oops, sorry about that. Sorry about all the jumping around. This is the downside to having it here on the iPad and not off to the side. Okay, so I want to play more of the, we'll do more laid back, why not? If it's too slow and stuff, we'll switch it to something like a little bit more exciting. But right here, we're kind of chill. And then I might just jump into another picture so you guys don't be too bored. Okay, so right in between here, I want him to sit back down. Okay, so he's going to sit down, and then his friend is going to talk to him. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this down, and I'm going to bring this down here. We'll clear that. Okay, so Derek comes and he sits back down. And his friend is still going to talk to him. And so he's talking to him. I'm trying to think, do I want him to interact more on the chair? And I got Derek here. Okay, so his friend is talking to him. He'll be saying something. Because I'm pressed for time, I'm going to just keep focusing on the bar. Let's see. This thing only comes up to their mid back here. And it's a cue ball, or rather just a billiard ball, and he's got stripes, and he's got the 8-ball. Now I'm not showing the 8-ball anymore because now things have turned around and he's got prospects for the night. So his friend is saying something, and I have plenty of room to add more exposition if I need to. But pretty much his friend, this is pretty much asking him, you know, did you hear anything I said? And he's pretty much like nodding along or whatever. And then he'll see another girl. And that's who I'm going to draw today. Let's see. So I'm trying to decide, do I want to show her over the shoulder? Yeah, I'll show her over the shoulder. And we'll see if maybe we'll kind of frame it a little bit. And we'll have the two guys. Is what I basically want is for Derek to see the girl. Way off in the distance here. His friend is still talking to him and saying, let's go. We'll see, we'll have his friend still sitting here talking to him, and we'll probably have some balloons or something like that over here. And so we'll have a girl here. I almost want Derek to respond to whatever his friend is saying, but I don't want to put too many panels into this. So I might end up even making all of this smaller. Let me do that. Let's see, I want him to react. So his friend is talking, saying, you know, I don't know why you're here, looking for whatever's here. And then this girl notices him, because I want him to see her. And I almost want it so that when his friend is talking to him, um, that he's saying something like, uh, in regards to, it could be applied to either what his friend is saying or what is happening with him and the girl. It's like it could happen in both areas. So like sometimes you just got to make a decision, and it's like, yeah, you're right, I do, type of thing. You got to take control of your life, la 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 la, just things like that, and things that could apply to both the situation. And then right before, and then his friend is probably thinking, I'm not getting anywhere with you. It's like, why are you here when there's a whole nother club that you can be hitting? Maybe telling him about the E Club, which is basically why I need him to meet his friend. Because sometimes, you don't know what's going on around you when all you do is go to work and go home. When you're pretty much in your own little paths. Okay, so she's in the pool area. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to make these like a little bigger or a little smaller. It's like the place is dead, but it's not that dead. We'll throw a couple more balls here in the rack here. The girl's way over here. So if I have to explain more in my story, I can always like move everything over to the next page. Okay. Okay, so they're about to get out of here. And then I gotta keep her arm straight here. Okay, so this is the left arm, and this is her right arm, and she's holding it in her left. So and I want her to kind of look at him, and he sees that she's really pretty. I'm trying to decide what to put on her. Okay, so if I'm going to do text on here, I'm going to have to slide this over, make it smaller, and then slide it over. And then his friend can talk. It's like, come on, Bam, let's get out of here. So let me just go ahead and jot down some text here so I don't forget. Actually, let me just put a text box in here. Let's see. If I if I do it with this, I can edit the shape and I have an outline. If I do it with this, rather, ellipse tool, it's perfect all the time. And I can just fill it with a lighter tone. So I'll put that on him. Text. Edit style. And I am using Jack Armstrong. And I'll bring it down to like in the 50s. Anything smaller than that is going to be so hard to read. We'll say about 58 is cool. Alright. Do that Shimon. And to make sure that I stay centered, just kind of close it up like that. Okay. And I need to annotate where his friend is looking. And then Derek's looking that way. And then it'll make sense with him and I'm wondering if I want to do the phone call type gesture. I wanted one, here's the one pose. Like call me type of thing. Maybe not, that's too far away. Alright, so anyway, I might keep this, or I might not. I have enough panels that I think will take me on into what I need. Let's see, so far I'm going to have, let's see, 16, 20, like 24. So 24 times 3, that's 12. Over 60. I'll have over 60 panels. Maybe about 62 or so. Okay, so I should be just fine. I probably don't even need the extra. But it will lead into him getting up and then him talking, let's go, man. I got this. I'll take you to the other place. And then he stops and it's like gesturing to the girl, hey, wait. And then this is the one I want to work on. Wreck your balls. So let me go ahead and make my ellipse. I'm going to do it on its own layer. I'm going to clear this. And let's see, we want to still keep it gray. We'll turn that into black. Edit text. There we go, good enough for government work. something happened as I was doing stuff. There we go. Edit style. Bring it down to about 56s. We don't need that big. There we go. We'll give her like a little southern accent. Rack your balls. And this is from a TV show that I was watching, American Gothic, many, many moons ago. I think in 90s. We'll have it about that big. It didn't need to be rasterized, but why do they keep rasterizing? I don't understand. Anyways, that was about deselect. Okay, that should be cool. When you rasterize it, you can't edit it. So like if I want to change your back to your, I can do that. So I'm going to move this. And this. And just kind of slide it over. Okay, so we'll put our girl here. Oh, and these are my inspirations and stuff like that. So I don't need those right now. So let's go ahead and draw our girl. I could, yeah, I think I'll just go ahead and merge these two. That way I have an extra panel to play with. Because I only have 16. And then I'm also going to come up with another texture. Since she's wearing like a hoochie mama dress. And I'm going to drop this opacity down a lot more, so it's not so annoying. Okay, so my inspiration is going to be someone from the 60s. Okay, so I'm always saying use photo reference, use a reference so that you draw from real life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my reference here. There we go. So I'm going to use Raquel Welch so that she looks like an older foxy mama. And our boy, he has no shame. He doesn't care. All he cares about is, well, I wanted to kind of do like a typical guy type of thing, where, you know, well, in a typical lounge lizard too, you know, kind of mutually beneficial, not really looking for love. But, you know, if it comes, it comes. Okay. Now this is going to be like really wicked small. I like to usually draw bigger and then reduce it. Yeah, I think that would be a better idea. So I'm going to make her a little bigger. Let's see, and I think I kind of like this pose. Let's see, she had a pose here. I thought that's pretty cool too. So let's do that. So I'm going to take a little bit of that, because I like how you do the opposing shoulders versus the hips. And now I got some anatomy to back it up a bit. Just a little. And then we'll just kind of do this sort of thing with the rack. What the hell are we listening to? Okay. Laid back, you're done. Okay, so let's go to, let me get out of genres. I liked this song. That was pretty freaking awesome, but let's see. Staff picks, poo. Let's see, I like electronica and dance. I like almost all of these. I love the R&B and soul. Let's see what they've got lately. I should create my own little playlist. Make sure that her hands are comparable to her face. We won't put the rack in there just yet because we've got chest to work on. Now I want a really cute outfit for her. Now the cool thing about her being on her own layer is I can use this sketch and then I can clean it up. Okay. Now what I'm using are Google Slides. I would find images that I like or would like to use, like pull cues, poses like this. This stuff helps a lot. And you know what? If I can find a hand in the other direction, it would help me with her hands here on the rack here. So if you feel like your stuff is a little too cartoony, this is one way of, using photo reference is one way of being able to kind of overcome that cartooniness. And it's funny, I remember someone was trying to describe the way I draw, and he called my stuff cartoony, and I wanted to slap him. I'm like, what do you mean? This isn't cartoony. I'm like, I thought I was going for realism, but this, because I didn't have a lot of texture, and I do have a lot of fantasy type of stuff, and it could be just a lack of vocabulary, I don't know. He called my stuff cartoony. I'm like, okay, all right. I guess we had two different ideas of what cartoony were to each other. But I didn't sweat it. I'm just glad I had a little shout out. I'm more illustrative. I've been watching a lot of Ink Master. That's why I wasn't online. I couldn't have it playing in the background while I was drawing. But it gave me a lot of ideas for some shirts and stuff that I want to create. Because I just joined the cricket crowd. But yeah, I think it's more illustrative, my stuff. So yeah, I guess it would be cartoony, not as realistic. But yeah, I loved watching Ink Master. I even spent $20 on a season because I couldn't find it for free online, and it was $20 well spent because, and I'm cheap. Well, sorry, frugal. I am very frugal, especially nowadays. Shit's just expensive, and it's kind of like watching a cartoon that you can watch for free on TV and paying for it. It's like I should be able to find this damn thing. I watched it. I could have had it. I could have had it for free, but no. Okay. Anyway, let me stop being cheap. I guess there's a difference between cheap and frugal. But I paid for my Ink Master, damn it. And it was definitely money well spent because not only was I looking at it for the drama and the artwork, I was definitely sold on some of the artwork, and their inspiration. Like the thing that made me want to see that season is that I caught a glimpse of one of the freehand, one of the artworks, and it was a plague doctor, and I'm like, oh, I love plague doctors. And then but what caught my eye was that it didn't look like, it was hard to read, and I think that was one of the gripes too, is that it was hard to read, because it didn't have enough like contrasting stuff. Make sure these two eyes are about the same size and one eye apart. There we go. There we go. Her head might be a little big for her body, so I'm going to reduce her head size. Freehand that. And that's a big fault of mine, is that I zoom in a lot. And because I reduced the head size, I got to reduce the neck size too. Well, it should be a giraffe. Very sexy giraffe. But now that I'm rooted in reality here, I could follow some of the things that I see. Let me bring that down some. One of the things about me is I don't have a lot of confidence of line. That's why my stuff is so fuzzy. I figure one of my lines will hit the way I would need it to hit. So I need to become a little bit more confident. Ooh, I like having her a little bit more fleshy. Like I think her name was Ashley Graham. See, not everybody is wasp skinny. But yeah, so I saw a plague doctor, and it was the Battle of the Sexes season that I ended up buying. So that season gave me so many different inspirations on different other things, different other takes. It's like I'll look at their work, and I know they're under pressure. You know, like when you're in your own shop or in your own element, you got plenty of time. You're not under the gun, especially if you got people who are what is the word? They have appointments. They're not just walk-ins. They kind of tell you what they want, and then you can kind of plan in advance what you want to do for them or provide for them. Well, anyway, a lot of the ideas that they'd come up with, they'll be like, "Oh my God, that sounds so hard. They want too many elements," and I'm like, I love a lot of elements. It doesn't, if you do it right, it doesn't have to look busy. And then they make it sound like it was just such a big ass chore, and I'm like, oh my God, all they want is like, 3 elements is cool, and like 100,000 elements, that's just way too much. But I love having at least 3 elements in something. Let's see, it just makes it more unique. And that attitude came from when I had gone to, let's see, I was in art school. What was it called? No, it wasn't digital graphic arts. It was, oh God, what was the name of it? International Academy of Design. I was there for a few months. Place was fucking expensive. But the art class was just so much fun, where we took 3 different elements and we put them together, animal, mineral, and vegetable, and we came up with so many cool things. And it's like I never used to do that. I never used to put things together like that. When I do caricatures of people, I loved putting him in a costume of some sort. And that's one of the things I liked about Ink Master, is like these people would come with these off the wall ideas. It's like I want a horse riding a man, and I would have did that shit up. It's just, or like another caricature I've done as a cartoon was a lobster catching the owner of his restaurant. Or when I was on Facebook and I didn't have ideas, I would go on Facebook and I'd ask people, who would you like to be in a caricature with, live or dead? And I came up with like my one friend, I know his personality. He's into the alternative stuff, and which is like the bondage type stuff. He loves that stuff. And so I drew him with Wonder Woman. He wanted a picture with Wonder Woman. So I had him being tied up by her magic lasso, and she's stepping on his face. He likes boots, basically. He's a boot guy. Loves a boot. Octo boots. So I drew him being stepped on by Wonder Woman. And it popped up recently in my memories on my Facebook account. And I'm like, oh, Lord have mercy, I gotta share this. And that was like almost 8 years ago, if you can imagine that. That's how long ago I had drawn. And I was just beginning to do t-shirts, drawing on t-shirts. Another passion. Her eyes are a little big, but I want them to be big this time. There's my cartooniness. So yeah, she's not exactly photorealistic, but we'll get to that point maybe one day. But why bother? Why bother? Let's, I want to get close. Yeah, and another thing I liked about Ink Master is that when they got away from those stupid challenges, I hated their challenges. I always hate their challenges. Some of them, you know, in the end, they come up with really cool stuff, but it's like the challenges are so dull to me. It's when they are actually tattooing and creating. You know, they're always creating stuff. They always have these what do they call them? Unconventional material challenges, and I'm like, I don't care about that. But once they're finally into the actual phase of drawing, and it's just a lot of them don't draw. They uh, and why should you have to? I guess you got a client who wants something specific. Sometimes it's something they've already seen. Sometimes it's something that they've come up with in their imagination. But my favorite drawing challenge is when they have to draw. They can't. They have to break out a pencil and a piece of paper, and they have to work it. And then you can see the tattooists who can't draw for shit. They can render, which is what I'm doing right now, is rendering. You know, adding the tones and all that stuff. That's rendering. When you see someone who's already got their outlines and shit together, they more than likely traced it. And then the speed drawing that you're seeing is a render. And yeah, it does take a while to draw everything out. And I'm guilty of doing that when I'm pressed for time, or like if I'm recycling images, which is what I'm doing on this particular comic. I didn't think I'd have to, but it saves so much time. And what I mean by that is I'll make like a whole bunch of faces, or I'll keep a log of faces. So like if I need a certain expression and a certain detail of my main character, and I've got like a whole bunch of my main character, and because chapter 2 was so long, I've got a lot of a secondary character. And let's see, before I go completely bonkers on this, let me give her an overall tone. I'll give her another layer, bring that underneath, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that she has one more base tone, which is basically I don't know if you can, you won't be able to see it, but let me go ahead and just do it. Just do it. Freehand, and I'm just going to basically give her a base tone to her skin. It's where all the other colors are going to be based on, and I'm just going to do the whole thing because I don't know what kind of outfit I'm going to give her yet. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do this, close it up. Yeah, I've learned a lot with this program. You come down to the bottom here where the plus sign is, and you hit add. You just keep come around, just go straight, and I'll just see if there's anything else that I need. I think that should be everything. So all the outlines here are on the back end. Yep. Okay, so come over here, and I'm going to pick a gray that's really light, or if you're doing black and white, and you can always go with a colored tone, especially if you need more variances in tone. And then just go ahead and do this real quick. So like say I wanted this to be her tone, or I wanted her to be a little more Hispanic looking, so maybe a darker skin tone, or base skin tone, so maybe about right there, or maybe even brown. Let's see, she'd end up being darker because I'd have to go even lighter, so we'll just stay kind of about right here is nice. So I have that tone in here, and I would just come over here, hit that little magic wand looking thing, and then go to hue and saturation and just knock it down. And that's her base skin tone. So everything I have to do is either the brighter tone, it'll either be white or black. So I'm going to use the black, and then I'm going to drop the opacity down, way down to like maybe 13. Zoom in. And now at 13, it's going to come out really light. I'm going to make this a little bigger. And then if I need it to get darker, I just keep tapping it and it'll get darker for me. If I just need it just a little dark, I just rub it once or twice and I got my tone. And it's more control. And now when I'm ready to do lighter tones, go ahead and leave it down here, and then I can just build it up. So like I'm looking at the top of her forehead, it's getting a lot of light. Underneath her eyes here, you see a lot of where the white is really white. That's where I'm going to go a little bit more, or spend a little bit more time either doing some circles here, or I'll just bring this up, and this will be like, the higher that you are here, the brighter the white will be. So it's bright there. I'm going to bring this down a little bit so I have a little bit more control. And anywhere where it looks like it'll be white or brighter. And if you can, you don't have to stay on the exact same skin tone. You can also be above it, and then it'll make it even brighter. So if you don't want to, if you're not ready to merge the layers, you can get some really good effects. If you have your lights on one layer, your darks on another layer, and then if you're into doing flat shading, you can do flat shading this way. Go ahead and make one more layer, put that above everybody, turn this black, and then wherever you think that you're going to do it, so like underneath her jaw, I'm going to go ahead and make a selection. Underneath her jaw, and then I'm going to fill that with black. Let's see, I think I'll have it, let's see, where else? Oh, like at the corners of her eyes. Let me hit, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Hit that. And we're going to darken this area, and then we'll go down to the plus sign, and we'll darken this area, and I've got to fix her eyebrows, and then we'll fill those with black. Let's see, and we'll do a little bit of her nose. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. If you ever lose your selection, hold down the selection tool and it will bring it back up, and then you can just go ahead and make your selection. Right now it's selecting everything. I'm going to fill that with black. If you don't want something selected, you'll hold, like right now everything is selected. You can hold that down. It brings your toolbar back up. And if you want to deselect something, like say I want to deselect her lips, go ahead and select her lips. And mind you, I'm going to deselect this. You go to where the negative sign is, or the minus sign, and it will take it out. So it won't be affected by whatever it is. Or if I want to add to that selection, I'm going to add her lips in here. And as soon as you drop a color in, the selection will go right to that. Let's see. Usually the bottom part disappears, so just hold down that S. Don't tap it, hold it, and that makes it pop back up. Okay, so we got all that. We've already got it colored. Okay, so we'll deselect it by tapping that S again. And then I'm going to come to my layers. I'm going to drop that down, the opacity down to at least, we'll see, 25 is not bad. Usually I drop it down to 15. And that's what 15 looks like. It's really subtle. The higher you have it, the more the shadow is. So like, we'll say this is 50% shadow. So like if she's outside, or if you have like an anime type of thing going on, you got that going on there. Let's see, I want it more subtle, like off to the side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it back down to 15. Hit that in, and we'll drop it to 15. There we go. 15 is cool. All right, and then I like softening the shadow. So on that layer, I'll go to the softening, or rather the smudge tool, and I'm on soft brush, and I'm going to use that. And I'm going to have it like about 80%, and it's going to be about that size of the brush, and I'm just going to come around and kind of soften the edges. Just a little. And if I have any other shadows, I'm going to add them. Like if I wanted subtle shadows, I would use this layer. So like if I just want to add just a little bit more oomph, and this kind of helps when you just want to get a little bit more variance into your shading. Now I'm not aiming for an exact portrait of Raquel Welch. I just want to kind of get her features. I want to steal her tones in her shading. We'll keep it a little bit dark there. There we go. Now if I find that it's too dark, I can always move my highlights up above it, and that's even striking as well. Alright, so usually for eyebrows, I'm going to come back down to here. I'm going to go ahead and erase these eyebrows. And then I use the fine hair brush for my eyebrows in about 9 or let's see, we'll see 11. 11's good. And another thing I like doing is putting them on their own layer, and then I'll merge them down. That way if I need to kind of groom them, I can do that without erasing the layer that I'm working on. As a matter of fact, let's do that, because I want to kind of sculpt her eyebrows a little bit. Okay. So we'll give it one more layer. bring it down just a bit. Now this brush works best when it's big. It doesn't get very tiny. Once it gets really tiny, you don't really see the details. It gets a little lost. Now I am like super zoomed in. I'm going to zoom out a bit, or at least make the brush a little bigger. It's all about control. Okay, there we are. And I should have tilted this just a little bit. Let me tilt this a little bit. And since it's on its own layer, I can use the eraser tool. If it looks too sculpted with the eraser tool the way it is, you can always change your brush to like the fine hair brush and stuff, so it'll keep that jagged look if you need it. Okay. Another thing I like using the fine hair brush with is on the lips. You see how it has the white highlight? I like doing that with the highlight. So one thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and use it. Let's see, I'm sorry, I'm on the eraser tool. And that helps with the getting that roundness. And just a little on the top here where the shadows are. And then come back down. And then you can do that bright highlight, because lips aren't perfectly smooth. So if you're going for that realism look, and you need those lines, you can do that. Now I live in this soft brush because it will get really small. And this is at its smallest level. And I can keep my lines, you know, I could either go hard with my lines here and just go back over some of those folds of the lips and kind of define it better so it's not so fuzzy. Yeah, it's really easy to abuse the soft brush, but if you alternate between hard and soft, you should be in good shape. Okay. Now if your lips were a little too fuzzy and you want to rein them in, you can use your smudge tool. Make sure that it's on soft brush, and you can kind of smudge that away. And the trick to using the smudge tool is you move, you're pretty much moving tones into the area that you want. So like if I want this dark tone to or have this part of the lip color, if I want more of that, I would push it down into the area that I want. So I start at the color that I want and move it into the color where I need it to be. And I'm just smudging that downwards. Same thing with here. You can even do it with a harder brush so you don't have the fuzziness or as much of the fuzziness. Or you can play on that fuzziness and then add more to it. You can add like white to it. Now nothing's happening on that because there was no pixels. I'm on the eyebrow layer, and I'm always on the wrong layer, always. Story of my life. But I'm going to take advantage of this layer and kind of use it for my highlights. And then I'm going to eventually come back through and merge layers. Not only will that give me more layers to play with, but it'll also allow me to do some shading into itself. Let me make this a little bigger. We'll bring this down. When you don't want it to be super high, you know, if you don't want it to be like really bright like that, bring it down all the way down here to like 14 or 13. And then just go ahead and tap. Like this area right here doesn't need to be as dark as some other areas, but I don't want it to be too bright either. So it's like a subtle shading or subtle highlight. Like right here, I do want it to be a little lighter. Okay. And then I'm going to merge these guys. There we go. And I could merge all of them. Let me see, am I at that layer? Yeah, I think I'm at a level where I can do that. Yeah. And then what I'll do is since everybody's in here, I'll see how they're interacting with each other, and I'll just go ahead and add my highlights to where I am here. So I've got a lot of different tones playing at once. Her forehead's like wicked bright, so I'm going to highlight here and just kind of decrease the highlight a bit. And then I want the highlight to kind of spread a bit, so I'm going to kind of rub that on out into the dark tones. And the trick is, if you can get it to the point where you can't tell where one tone ends and the other begins, that it's seamless, kind of like now, pretty seamless. Same thing with here. It's really bright on the cheeks and cheekbones here, so I'm going to kind of do the same thing that I just did above. Just kind of smooth it in with the smudge tool. And now you don't want to, if you start to lose some of your color tones and stuff like that, you can either create another layer and do the layer thing again. Like right here on the side of the nose, it's not a hard line. It's a very soft line. So I'm going to smudge it, and I try to determine on what side of that line is darker, and it's darker coming downwards. So instead of shading inward, I'm going to shade, or on itself, I'm going to shade downwards. So that tone gets down here, and then it starts to lighten up. So I'll use a little bit of white, and then I'll have it way down, and then I'll just kind of soften up my brown tones. And you're just kind of making value judgments. Is this darker than that? Is this about the same tone as that? And that's pretty much what I borrow from source images. And just keep rubbing until I get, and you can always press down just a little bit, or you can raise it up a little bit if you're not getting the tones that you need right away. You don't want to wear down your whatever tool that you're using. And then if you're still on the same layer, you can correct any discrepancies and stuff. It's not going to be the same, and it's not going to be perfect, but it is going to be a pretty girl Oh, okay. And that's all I really wanted from Dear Raquel here. I wanted to borrow her features. Okay, so I'm going to move that over a little bit more because I don't need it so much. And then I can, if I want to keep going, I can keep adding bits and pieces of what I see from her onto here. So like I can go a little bit darker in this area if I wanted to. But is it darker than that? You know, I just got to make the judgment calls on those. And now at this point, if I want to add a little bit of texture to her skin, I can go to my touch-ups, and the skin brushes that come with this program is rough skin. Say I want to just add a little bit of texture to her skin, I'll make another layer. I'll bring this down just a bit because women aren't scaly. We spend a shit ton of money to keep from looking scaly. So I bring that texture brush down a little bit, and then I'll bring this down to about the size that I want, and I'll just hit the shadows, and it'll break up the shadows a bit and give her a little bit of skin texture. And I'll even go into some of the highlights. Go from the dark. I'm using like medium texture, and then the very light touch when I go into the highlights. And then on the nose, put a little bit of texture there. And then we can add a little bit of texture on the forehead. And on the other side of the forehead. And then you got a little bit of texture there. So she's not just a smooth beast. And even if she's a little small, she'll still kind of stand out. Alright, so let's color her eyes. I'm going to soften some of this white here too because it's a little bright. Almost, I don't want to give it a and then just do that sort of thing. Yeah, for women you don't want to be too you know, you don't want to put too much of the texture on her, and then kind of soften it a bit. You can soften the texture. Now if you don't want to lose your texture completely, bring your smudge tool down, and it'll smooth out the texture just a bit, but you won't lose it completely. Now the more you go, the softer it'll get. If you want to obliterate your texture completely, just bring it back up and it's gone once you start using it. Okay, let's play with the eyes. Now one of the other things, oh yeah, first before I forget, I want to get a little right here. Just want to darken that up. And I'm going to merge that layer. There we go. And I'll even put a little bit into the lips because the lips aren't smooth. Okay, let's see. And I'll use a little bit of white doing the same thing. I'm going to bring it down even lower, and I'm just going to add a little bit of the texture into the highlights, or rather onto the shadows, just a bit, and that gives her more of that porous texture. And I'll also go into the highlights too. And I'll even add a little bit more into new highlights. And it just kind of feathers it out a bit more. make her nose a little bit broader here. Okay. Put a little bit above her eyebrows. And in this area, this is where people like to put eye makeup. Alright. Not so smooth, but she looks a little bit more like a photograph almost. Okay. Yeah, just a little bit more of that. You'd have like a photographic type of thing. Okay, so I'm going to keep this brush for the moment. We'll see how dark we can get. That's not too bad. I'm going to do the inside of the eyes here. Now she's got light brown eyes, so one of the things I like to do is just go ahead and come down on that a little bit and just kind of come around. I usually use the soft brush, or I would use the fine hair brush, and I'll bring that down a little bit. Now if you really want to show the cones, the rods and the cones, you can put it on its own layer, and you keep that fine hair brush up. You can also make a selection just to give yourself a little bit more control. If I do to one, I'm going to do it to the other. Hit the add button. And let's go ahead and do the light first. We'll do the lighter tones of the eye first, and we can do it like that. Now this brush is really big. So she's showing a lot of the cones. You only want to go once or twice in there. Bring it down some, and let's use the black. And this is one way of doing light colored eyes. Light colored eyes will show the cones more. Darker colored eyes, especially if you're doing black and white, will show, you know, more of the tonage, not the conage. The conage, ah! See what I did there? Okay. Alright, so she looks like she's got lighter colored eyes. There we go. And because it's so small, I'm not putting too much more into it. You don't want to overwork it. I'll leave her lips or teeth the same. You could brighten it up a bit, but she is inside. We'll change this brush back to the soft brush, and then we'll make sure this is soft brush still. Yep. Okay. All right. And we'll go to white, and we'll put that little white dot in there. You put it anywhere you want. I like putting it up right here, but you can put it where the picture has it. And I can always move mine, but we'll give her two lights. Why not? And you can even add a little bit more to, since she's got really light colored eyes, we can do like some little wiggles in there, make them even lighter and sparklier. Now I was going to focus on the teeth. You don't have to be super white, because the lips come over, so I'm going to kind of stay only on the bottom here. And then I'm going to kind of soften it. Bring that back up. You don't have to do every individual tooth, especially at this size. And if you make it too bright and whatnot, it might not look right. So just kind of hit maybe just a little bit of the areas. And then we'll just kind of soften it. And let's see, we'll merge these down. That way I can play with the other layers here. And we'll use a little bit of white on the tongue. If you want her lips to look really shiny, give it, hit it a couple times. That's when it's really nice to have a source image. It's like, what looks good? What looks good? There we go. Just soften that. There we go. Pretty. Okay. Now, you see how I'm really fuzzy around the edges of her face? I'm going to determine whether or not I want it dark on the outside or dark on the inside. And it looks like I'm going to use it on the outside for her hair. So I'm going to soften and smudge away from the interior of her face. So we're going to use those jagged lines to our advantage. So you don't have to have, and that's another way to make things look more realistic, is use your, get rid of your outlines. But this is going to be a comic, so I'm going to keep some of my outlines, so it'll stand apart from the background, especially since I don't have much of a background. I would love to collaborate with somebody who's really great with backgrounds. Okay. So when it comes to like doing a comic or something like that, I would love, 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 love if someone's totally into backgrounds and objects. Yeah, I decided to go totally into people. I drew people for like hours. When I was a kid, I came across my friend, and we reminisced about our little summer drawing sessions, because that's when we had all the time in the world. Or at least that's what it felt like. And she was so cool. She would play all kinds of music, all kinds. We went from Prince to Meatloaf to just all Jody Watley. We played all kinds of music, all kinds of 90s music, 80s music. She put all. She was the DJ. I loved it, but she also drew too, and she had a very beautiful illustrative style. And I wish she would have kept it up because she was very talented. But you know, life gets in the way. But I'd love to see her work nowadays. She would be so popular. And she had confidence of lying. I don't have confidence of lying. I have confidence of smudge. Okay, so here we go. Now I gotta decide what kind of outfit to put on her. And that's one of the things I liked about when people are in the chat and no style. They have style. Okay. All right. So where are we? It's 6:30. All right. So we have our girl here, and we need hair. I'm not liking her hair so much. Um, but I do like the bouffant hair where it's all raised and stuff. So almost like a Southern Belle type of thing. Let's do that. That's fun. Let's see. Okay, so using the fine hair brush, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure it's on its own layer because, you know, I'm fickle. Let's see. We'll bring this up. We'll make this black. I love this brush. And I'm just doing little strokes in the same direction. Okay, and then we'll give her the beehive hair. We should do like a modification of the beehive. Let's see. And to make it look like it's bending, we'll have the light hitting it just right. We'll have less lines and then more lines here. And then we'll just kind of go in this direction using the S shape. And we'll just do a couple of S shapes going this way. And then more the beehive. Let's see if we can do like a modified beehive. So like her hair is doing this sort of thing. It's fluffy on top. She's got like a side bang. We'll have it come down a little bit. And then we'll use a little bit of white to break up that dark. Whoops. There we go. Let's see, it should be bending about right here. So on the bend, put the white in on the edge. And then we'll break it up with more black. It'll be darker on the bottom than it is on the top. And we'll put a little bit of black to break up some of that white. See, I'm trying to decide how I want to do her hair. Do I want it to come down in the front like hers? Now for hair that is coming from behind her, I like doing another layer and putting it underneath. That way I can get into the face without damaging it. And then we'll just kind of have it turn. Whoops. This is the back hair. Okay, so we need to come back to the front. We can go even bigger. Let's see, her ears aren't showing. I guess she had a thing about her ears. Or maybe that's just a hairstyle. Give her big hair. Well, moderately big. How about that? And see, we can play it up. Just do this sort of thing. Okay, so one of the things that I've done with hair, we'll give her like this triangle shape. Okay, let's see, I was going to say something. One of the other techniques that I do for hair, and it looks pretty good, is to smudge the hair with hair. So come over to the smudge brush, take the short hair brush, and I'm going to smudge the shiznit out of like the top. Anything that I want to kind of make it look like it has more volume or texture, I'm going to smudge it. If I don't want to obliterate everything, I'm going to bring this down here. The opacity of the brush, which is like the hardness of the brush. And when I forget, that's okay, because I'm going to just come back over it anyway. And on one of the tattoo competition things, there was a pinup girl with a lollipop, and it had Heartbreaker on it, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. It was Heartbreaker and neon, kind of like that diner type of neon type of thing. And I'll come back into this one. Yeah, this brush will change your religion, I'm telling you. Okay, so we'll break it up some of the areas of black with the white. It's pretty much where it like kind of bends and hits the light. So it's going to hit the light. The light's coming from above. And it'll also send hair in the back to the back with the more highlights here. Now you don't have to use white. You can always use like a gray in between. And I think that's pretty much what the tool was doing, was making grays for me. Then we can throw more black. So I think I'll give her a t-shirt that says Heartbreaker on it. There we go. It's like, tell your mama to go home. And I think I want to give her a shit ton of eye makeup. Just overcompensating. I mean, she's fine just the way she is. Let's see. We'll just make this a little darker. And we'll give her more eyelash. More eyelash. We'll make it a little bigger. There we go. Alright, so let's give her a t-shirt that says Heartbreaker. And she's got great... We'll give her a nice tummy too. We'll go back to the soft brush. Make sure this one's on soft brush. And we'll keep the black going, because it's almost the right tone. And where it comes into the highlight here. Yeah, at first, no, I think I had her drawn with a Hoochie Mama dress, but I had already a chick in a Hoochie Mama dress. So, let's see. And I need to lower her eyes just a little. They are very bright. Just want to make her a little bit more alluring. Hood those eyes a bit. And we'll even darken some of her lipstick in. This music sounds like something kind of saucy. On the prowl type music. Let's see what's going on here. We soften this. I don't know what layer that's on. Maybe the back layer. No telling. I have to figure out. There it is. I'm just going to smudge a little bit of the hair. Oops, not in the hair. Don't want to smudge too much though. Just want to make it look a little thick. Okay. And there we are. Okay, so Heartbreaker. What kind of shirt do we want to do? Kind of I'm trying to think, do I want to do like a Southern Belle, or let's see. Now I tried to move a favorite brush in here. I don't see that it's in here. Got the zombie skin. Got the light brush, soft brush, fine hair. Okay, in touch-ups. I don't know what happened to my porous brush. Did it go in here? Oh, it went into this one. We take it out of this one. And make sure it hits favorites. Did not make it. That is so annoying. it there? Let's procreate. Oh, this is annoying. Okay, fine. Where did it go? Like, there's a whole bunch of these brushes I want to get rid of because I don't use. Oh, there it is, finally. Okay, just needed a moment. Okay, the porous is going to work just like the other brush. It just gives like this pore look. It's like a noise brush. But more of a skin tone. Oops. But I like using that one more for that brush. So what I'll do is I'll make that the porous brush, make this one the other touch-up brush, rough skin. I'll bring that up, bring that down. Just make it a gentle flesh tone here. Now I think I want to put her like jeans maybe. You can see the difference between my brush down here and that brush. I think I like my brush better on this. Let me back that up. Old skin is really good for like hands. If you're doing a close-up of hands and you want to get that texture for the hands there. Okay, so I'm not going to sweat that. Let me just go ahead and soften the tones here. But I'm still trying to decide how I want this shirt to look. I think I want a crop shirt. We'll merge these guys together. Alright, so let me see. I'm gonna do a search on some really cute shirts. Let's see. I should go into my Pinterest. Yeah, I think I'll go into my Pinterest. Because I have some saved that I just haven't used. Alright. Wonder if I signed in under the wrong thing. Oh, no, it's me. No, it's tight. Okay. I could do like the Iron Maiden type of thing. That's cool. I do like that. This type of top is kind of cute too. Some sort of crop top.